Hope everybody's doing well. Trying to wake myself up a little bit. My head's still a bit scatterbrained. I had a couple of drinks last night, relaxed and stuff, so yeah, my head is still a little bit scattered. But I'm not doing too bad today, so I can't complain too much. Got my coffee right here. One of those beautiful mornings. Oh, shit, that's too loud. I'm just going to turn that down. Sorry, that was an ad that was in the background. Fuck me fucking sideways. It's just one of those mornings, isn't it? Oh, afternoons, I mean. Sorry, correct me. But yeah, no. I ended up getting a new monitor, by the way, as well. So I'm waiting for that to arrive in the mail. Should be here next week. I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing, bro. Even though it is a second-hand monitor, I'm still going to do a bit of an unboxing anyway. And I know the guy had supplied the original box, so that's not a problem to do. Oh, that is good. Coffee is a lifeblood. It wakes you up before you go, you know. God damn, I'm quoting 80 songs now. What is wrong with me? I already knew I was insane, so that was part of the whole equation, really. But it's a lovely morning. God damn, it's a lovely morning. Afternoon. What am I saying? Morning. I got it stuck in my head because I woke up at 1 o'clock today. Obviously, that's the reason it was sort of stuck in my head that it's a freaking. Yeah, okay, that's just idiotic. It's beside the fucking point. So I got my coffee, I got all my stuff here. I'm gonna play a bit of a game, definitely. See if this just works. I'll make sure it's all functional. So I want to make sure everything is working correctly. Though I will say at this point though, I'm selling off my old monitor. I think my sister said she was interested in it, so I'm going to sell it to my nephew because he needs a new monitor because he's died, unfortunately. And I said, look, not a problem. She said she'd give me, well, this is my point, but my sister wasn't too bad with it, so I mean, at the end of it, I just went, okay. Well, because I'm a good guy like that, and I do stuff like I do, especially if it's family. I'm a big family guy, like in the sense of like, honouring your family, not just honouring your family, but doing the right thing by your family. That's always been my attitude anyway. I knew his monitor died, and I'm like, okay, alright, give me so much money, and like, it doesn't have to be a massive amount, that's my point. My sister normally doesn't, I mean, sometimes I'll just sometimes I just give my nephew stuff, but I needed some money anyway, so I thought, look, I was going to sell it off anyway. If you can give me a bit of money for it, then, you know, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you for Jacob, so... Plus side anyway. It's the type of person I am. I'm too good. That's my problem. I'm too good. I'm too nice to people. Sometimes I get walked all over because of it. I know that's happened in the past, definitely. It's definitely something that does happen. You know what? I can live with that because at least I know I'm a reasonably nice guy most of the time, so yeah. I can live with letting some things go occasionally. It's good for you to let things go. It's good to let go of some things, you know. If you don't, you end up turning bitter and you end up feeling like crap. That's one thing that I've noticed. If you hold on to anger, or if you hold on to anger in general, or try to hold on to negativity, it's going to make you a worse person in the long run. That's all it does for you. It just makes you a worse person. Not just that, but it changes your mindset to something stupid. And you know, that's the thing. It's so hard to get into a positive. Well, especially if you do have depression issues. It's so hard to get into a positive mindset sometimes, especially if you're ever in a real bad situation with your depression at the time. You know, it's just like, what the fuck, really? But I've learned to cope. I learned to cope pretty well. And I could be much worse. I could be in a much worse place. I'm actually in a pretty good place lately. Actually, yeah, that's right. I've been in a pretty good place. I've been fantastically happy, like pretty ecstatically happy. There's a couple of situations where I'm not, but there's always going to be something that, you know, nothing's 100%. I'll say it again. Nothing is 100% foolproof, and nothing is 100% perfect. That is the truth. And if you believe that everything is perfect, then I'm sorry, but no. It doesn't work that way. No human ever comes out perfect. Fuck, you know, the amount of times that I've seen people make mistakes. I mean, I'm willing to admit when it comes to my IT stuff, about 70 to 80% of the time I'm right about it. But I'm willing to admit if I make a mistake or if I fuck something up. Admit to your mistakes, admit to when you fuck something up or something gets fucked up or you don't remember doing. This is the other thing too, there's a couple of times I reckon this is probably a couple of times I've had to apologise for being drunk. and because I've said something that maybe people take the wrong way. Because I'll be honest, that's sometimes me. I'm a controversial person. I push the envelope sometimes, and I know this. I know that I do. So you know, it's not as if I'm really bad, but yeah, some days it's just like, what the hell. It's not the worst though. It's not the worst I've had. Not the worst experience. Alright, so I gotta wrap my head around getting awake, because I'm not quite awake yet. I did have a nice sleep though, it was fantastic. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. No complaints. Well, there could be a couple of complaints, but I don't think anybody listening anyway, if even really fucking good one. Where the hell? I know I had, I think I had tissues. I can't remember up there. And I've got you under my skin. It was like not that many, there's like a few plates and stuff because I made some hamburgers yesterday while drunk, so yeah. It's always hilarious though. A couple of drinks, it's almost like I get the munchies. So yeah, bin bag here. And some toilet paper, because I haven't got anything else. Unfortunately, I don't have any tissues. I wish I had tissues, that'd be nice. That wouldn't go astray. Alright, so let's see. Mentality. Step up to reality. Oh, the very thought of you makes me run. Where I begin, and I've got you under my skin. Morning. I love mornings. Mornings are fun. Afternoons are fun. Waking up is sometimes fun, but just annoying as well, because you have to get your brain into the right freaking gear, particularly for my type of job. Alright, so let's see. I'm looking pretty good. My game streaming's working correctly. Everything seems to be working this morning. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. That is great. It's all working. Beautiful. You know what? I couldn't ask for any more harmony to go on with this situation. Everything's working. The stream's not completely shitting itself, which I have had a couple of situations where that's happened. I'll just test my chat to see if it actually does work. Testing. Testing testicles 1, 2, 3, apparently. And let me check here. What's the other one? Testing. Oh, shit, there we go. Testing. Perfect. Okay, so that, I think that's working. Let me see if it comes up on my screen. There we go. That's what I wanted. That looks shithouse though. That really looks shithouse. I need better text. What the hell did I do with this text? This is shocking. What have I done? My god. Holy shit. Why is that? That's weird. Oh, the text is small. Okay, that's the reason I can't read shit. That would explain a lot. I'm like, what the hell? It's really weird. Okay, yeah, there we go. That actually works. I think it was 17 or 18 I was on. Yeah, there we go. That works better. What about you? Do you need to bring your text size up a bit? Yeah, you do. Perfect. Right, there we go. Okay. So now I can actually read what's being said in chat, if anything is going to be said. Cool as. Right, fantastic. So yeah, I had a couple of drinks last night. I was watching, what was it? I was watching Drunk History while drunk. That's an interesting concept, because it cracked me up trying to watch freaking Drunk History, and just watching everybody get hammered off their fucking nut. And pretty much, you know, the entire basis for the show is getting hammered and talking about history, and I'm like, wow, I need to get a job like that. No, I'm kidding, but still. What's life? You gotta have a sense of humour. But no, it was quite funny to watch. I watched it and I'm like, what the hell, really? It just cracked me up because this guy says, I was like, I'm not going to get that drunk. I had whiskey before and I was almost on the floor. And he got halfway through doing all the speeches for the, I think it was what was it for? The freaking the Paul Revere thing, you know, the guy running up and down, the British are coming in America. Well, that's part of American history anyway. And he's like totally knocked out. He's lying on the floor face down, drunk off his freaking ass. Apparently he had Jaeger bombs this time instead of whiskey, and I'm like, wow, dude. He normally takes an entire bottle of that shit in most cases to actually knock me for 6. It depends, yeah. Depends on what I'm drinking too. So some things can get me right off my tits straight away, but that's still fucking funny. Oh my god, that's hilarious though. So this morning, I was also seeing Frank Sinatra earlier, which I was in a mood. I was in such a good mood earlier. Well, I still am. I still am in a pretty good mood now. I'm in a pretty good mood, not just that, because I've discovered Uber, and it's only because I didn't have it installed on my fucking phone. I don't understand why I didn't have it installed on my phone, because I'm an idiot for not installing it. But apparently, yeah. I'm annoyed with myself for not getting Uber. Because last night I was drunk off my ass. No, it was the night before. Last night, or the night before. Sorry, it was the night before. Night before, I was drunk off my ass. I thought, fuck it, you know, it's not something I regularly do. I'm like, okay, I got Uber. What the hell? So it was like 2:20 in the morning. I'm like, fuck, 2:20 in the morning. Let's go down to the fucking club, have a couple of beers, and put $20 for the pokies. I didn't put a mess. This is my point. I limit myself, like, if I do any type of gambling or anything like that, I always limit myself on how much I put for a machine or whatever. I've never been the type of person to actually, you know, go beyond $20, to be honest. But I put $20 in one shithole, which was kind of annoying. Kind of actually really frustrating, honestly. But yeah. No, but look, last night, as I said, now that I've discovered Uber, my god, I love Uber. I really love Uber. I love the experience. Not just that, but I can socially network out things too. I gave a bunch of business cards to the drivers. Every single driver I had, I just handed these out. I had pizza last night. I even gave one to the pizza guy last night. But no, this is my point. I just randomly hand these out to people, right? And not just that, but anyway, put it this way: I was pretty drunk the other day, and like, fuck it, you know, 2:20 in the morning. It's like, oh bugger it, I'll go down to the club, because I wasn't sure what time it was open till. So I actually had to look up the time for the club and what time it closes. Little did I know that the bar closed at 3 AM, but that's not too bad. At least I got a couple of beers before I ended up leaving, and I came back at about 4:10 AM. So I was there from 2:20 till 4:10 AM. And pretty much I ran around, talked to a few people on the poker machines, talked to the barmaid, talked to a few other. I mean, in fact, I don't know. I talked to everybody. I mean, I was drunk, but at the same time, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, you know, of being more of a homebody than anything else, you know. So fuck it. I'm like, yeah, what the hell, you know? Fuck this. There's nothing wrong with pushing myself. On top of that, I'm going to be getting my license soon, which is something that I'm looking forward to as well. But it's good to have Uber if I want to go somewhere. If I want to go specifically to a certain place, get food, whatever, or if there's certain things I want to get, as long as I got enough money for Uber, which, I mean, it's about $9. I think it was about $9 or $11 per trip. So what? Like, put it this way, I had a very positive experience with Uber. Not just that, but it made me feel a bit more independent of myself too. You know, like, just on a whim, I'm like, fuck it, let's go to the club. I mean, yeah, sure, there wasn't a massive amount of people around. I got to the club, had like 3 beers, got on a poker machine. I was talking to several different people. I talked to women, I talked to guys. There was a bunch of people I was talking to in different situations. So yeah, that was good actually. Then somebody asked me if I had a cigarette, but unfortunately I didn't have a cigarette because I've been using rolling tobacco lately. but no, like, I mean, freaking, it was good. It was a good experience for me. Not just that, but it made me feel more independent of myself, and just more like at least I could turn around and say, well, I've got the skills, not the skills, but it was a social interaction. It was a social interaction thing. It's sort of a social experiment, I guess, too, to prove a point to myself that I am capable, of enjoying myself and being on my, being on my own sort of I don't know, because with my conditions, I've always felt a bit like an invalid. Not that I am. It's just that it's the feeling that I've had my entire life, And when you do have mental illnesses, it sometimes makes you feel that way when it doesn't intend to do that, but it does happen. I've concluded, though, that I think the best thing for me is, just to push myself, because sometimes if I don't push myself, I don't achieve things. That's my problem. I need to push myself. I mean, don't push myself to the overboard point where I'm fucking so stressed I can't even fucking move. But I need to push myself and move forward. Because, that's how success is forged. That's how fame is forged as well. A lot of that stuff is forged through that. And that's the honest truth. I mean, every experience in life that you have adds to you psychologically as a person. It makes you a better person. It can either make you a better person, it can make you a shitty person, or it can make you the ultimate of what you do. You know what I mean? But every experience that you have in life, it doesn't matter which experiences that you take on. I mean, you're better off probably taking on more positive experiences than negative ones. But that's my freaking point. See, people don't seem to realise that every experience you have in your life does contribute to you as a person. Psychologically, not just that, if you're pushing beyond your own emotional barriers, whether it's finding love, or whether it's, finding your own way of socialising with other people, there's always, there's all different ways of doing it, but this is my point. To me, it kind of seems like, we live in a world where social mechanisms and things like that aren't, well, it's more of a disconnect. Like, the internet's always been more of a disconnect from that social situation. Whether it's going out to the pub or whether it's something like that. With the internet, you're not always seeing a face, you're not always seeing facial expressions, you're not always getting people's emotions and what's coming across from them. And that's another thing. I mean, social interaction is not a bad thing. Sometimes I've considered it a bad thing. It depends on the mood I'm in. Sometimes for me it can be a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing for me. That's the point I'm trying to make. For me, I vary with my attitude towards it, And the truth of the situation is that most of the time I'm a pretty sociable person, but there's going to be those days where I tell people to fuck off, literally, because I'm just in a bad mood. But that's just some days. It's not every day, though. But you know what? It's a positive experience, and I'm glad that I freaking found Uber. That was the first part of it. It's just something new that I wanted to try. I'm like, what the hell? Well, see how we go. So I'm drunk, middle of the night. It's like, fuck it. It's like, I'm sitting, I'm thinking, bugger this, I'll go down to the bloody pub. And I did. So, yeah, I don't know, it was a good evening. It was a good night. I handed out a bunch of business cards, I talked to a bunch of people. But yeah, yeah. It's an amazing experience. Anyway, sorry. Should get on with some actual gameplay. Well, actually, no, this is a talk show. We're talking about subjects, whether it's life or whether it's gaming. I mean, it's mostly tech stuff like that. I've got practical experience in that, but it is a talk show. I talk about random subjects. That's mostly that is my thing, though. I'm a very random person. Like, subjects that I'll pick, it's just like, why the hell would you think of that? Like, people just look at me as like, what the fuck is wrong? Some people look at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because normally, I know I'm good with picking some controversial subjects, and it depends on what I'm doing as well, like, in my entire experience in my life, I've always pushed the envelope. I've always pushed people just to see how far they can be taken to a certain bending point, because you want to know whether somebody's a fairly strong person or they're psychologically, not as strong, But I mean, at the other side of it too, there's nothing wrong with me. Okay, look, everybody considers like antidepressants and pills and stuff and things that keep people in focus to be a weakness. I don't consider that a weakness. It's just a coping or a crutch mechanism that you use, It's the context of, alcohol and things like that. These things are used for people to deal with their everyday life. Because, look, let's be honest here. Life isn't always easy. It isn't always freaking easy. It's not easy. Life is probably absolutely a big pain in the ass some days. You just wake up and it's like, what the fuck? I can't deal with this shit today. Fuck off. And then other days you wake up and it's like, you know, I could take on the entire world and I feel like completing my plans for world domination. You know, Pinky in the Brain style. Exactly, you know. Like as I said, somebody with my conditions, that's how it comes and goes, or that's pretty much, you know, the feelings you get, depending on the situation, of course. Man, I tell you. You know what? I've learned a lot of things. I've learned that it pays to be crazy in this world. It pays not just to be crazy, but to enjoy yourself. Try not to have too many issues. And I don't know whether that was that coming through. Hold on a second, let me just check something. Probably my stream was stuffed up. I don't know. Hold on a second. Curious. I just want to see something. Oh, it's alright. It was on the other capture thing. So that's alright. That's fine. Okay, it works. Ah! Freaking nose! My god, my hay fever is fucking annoying. Fuck you, hay fever. That's just simply what I'm going to say to you this morning. Okay, anyway. My point is... the point I'm trying to make this morning... is that, you know, you've got to be able to enjoy life. Not just enjoy life, but you've got to be able to make it as best you can, you know? I mean, fuck. Frank Sinatra song. What was I listening to last night? I was listening to a couple of Frank Sinatra songs, which was, My Way, with lyrics. I was listening to that this morning, and it's a freaking fantastic song, by the way. Freaking great as hell. I mean, freaking awesome song. Alright, so I do need to take my pills this morning. As per freaking usual. Oh, that's alright. I'll get my brain back into gear. I've found in life it helps to be crazy. Definitely helps. Most of the time. It helps me anyway. If I wasn't crazy. Alright. If I wasn't crazy, I wouldn't be able to function after. Alright, so what we got? I hate taking this shit, but it does help. Doesn't always help, but most of the time it does. It has some effect on me, so... I do love meds. Sometimes, but sometimes I hate them. Depending on my frame of mind. Mostly hate them, but they're not that bad. At least they keep my head screwed on most of the time. Most of the time. The other half depends on my feeling too. What else do I need? I need to take a crack in a minute, to be honest. Nothing constitutional, as per usual. What vitamins have I got? Stack on. Vitamins, that's it. Freaking tablets, meds. This is my freaking problem. Too many meds. I'm gonna start fucking rattling. Rattle, I guess. Shake, rattle, and roll. Oh my god, it is cold. I mean hot. I'm hot. I'm actually quite hot this morning. So, where... Oh, there we go. Drink of water. There we go. Oh, good. Okay, so... I'm going to take my meds. Always fun. This time in the morning. Ugh, god damn it. Where's my vitamin tablets? Oh. Right, there we go. Always, if you are over 30, definitely take a multivitamin. Put it that way. I wouldn't recommend it if it didn't work for me. Put it that way. If you're over 30 years of age, I mean, fuck, even younger, to be honest, sometimes it's good to take a vitamin tablet. You might not have to take as much as I do, but fuck, definitely take a vitamin tablet. It's the best advice I can give to you. Vitamin tablets are your friend. Not just for maintaining your health, but also generally maintaining your levels in your body, whether it's iron or certain other vitamins and minerals that your body gets depleted of over time. It can either be through alcohol use or it can be through other things of that nature. But yeah, it adds up. But that's the thing. If you at least have a few things like that in your body, it's I don't know. It's just generally better for you to do that. I think. See, the weird part is, you know, some people say it's like, oh, you know, you have to be a vegan or you have to be a vegetarian to be able to maintain a healthy body. It's not necessarily true. I think it's okay for people to eat meat. I eat meat. I mean, I'm not going to criticize somebody for being vegan or vegetarian for that matter. You know why? Because that's their choice. I think the only time that I might criticize somebody is when they get up in my face about it and they get an attitude about it and arrogance. I'd say any time. Otherwise, no. That's normally when I react. If somebody approaches me with an arrogant attitude, and assuming they can't learn something or they can learn something in a certain... I mean, this is my point. It's absolutely true that when it comes to this stuff, well, especially arrogant attitudes, that can be a lot of... That can be stuff that it can be really hard to deal with it on a daily basis, depending on who you're talking to. I've never had any major issues with it, but still... Detox. Right, so I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know. I'm gonna try and play games, I guess, but I don't know. All right, let me just switch this over. Alright, so I'm gonna find my brain. I think it's somewhere here. Right. Alright, so, I'm awake. Yeah, let me just switch over the screens anyway. Some other ones. Oh my god. I feel like I'm being hit by a truck. A little bit. Just a little bit. Fucking hell, change the damn thing. There we go, that's better. Oh, right. I don't know, just... I don't think there's anything wrong with getting out of your comfort zone, especially these days, you know? Well, that's what I'm finding from personal experience anyway. Oh. God damn my head. Well, my head's okay, it's just a little bit annoying this morning. Because I still got a slight bit of a hangover, because I didn't have a massive amount of drinks. I think it was about 11 in total. 7.4 on the scale of alcohol anyway, so not too bad. My head is still a little bit fucking hazy, but it'll come around again, so it shouldn't be a problem. Like I said, always good. Oh. Freaking dying some days. Oh, I feel like I'm dying at the moment. That's generally how you do feel though. After you've had a couple of drinks, a night of having a few drinks anyway, you do tend to feel like you're fucking crap in the morning. It's like, what the hell, my head, what the fuck? It happens, unfortunately, though. Sometimes in life you're going to feel perfect. Other days you're going to wake up and it's like, what the fuck is this shit? Why do I have to deal with this? Oh. I have no idea. Why? Why, oh why? Alright, so I might crack open my window. Freaking hot. Oh no, I'm hot. generally finding that it is freaking hot at the moment, so that doesn't help. Right. You make me feel so young. La da 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 dee da da dum. So it is 3:49 PM. I'm doing a bunch of stuff this morning anyway. Sorry, just trying to find my head this morning. It's here somewhere, I think. Sorry, I'm just checking some of my stuff. Facebook and such. Well, okay, that's good. Anyway, what else have I been doing? Well, I'm getting that new monitor. That's gonna probably take I don't know, it might take a bit to run. Might not, it just depends, I guess. Where's it coming from? It was Queensland or something like this. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Basically, I'm going to be using it as my new second monitor. I'm giving... I should be... This is going to get the old one. But you said you should get a few bucks for it or something like that. I mean, you know, the other side of it too is I've always got my repairs to fall back on. Put it this way, I've got my repairs and I've got my regular clients and stuff that I interact with, so I've always got that to fall on. So, though saying that, it's been a little bit slow sometimes lately with some of the, I think it's just because people are like in the state of mind that they don't want to spend money at this point in time. Like, it's... Other thing too is, you know, I'm with the attitude that if something is economically repairable, like say it's going to cost like $400 to fix something, right? You know, parts, then you know what? I won't even attempt to fix it. Even if it was me doing it just for myself, I wouldn't have a problem having to go with it. But if it's a client's and you're going to have to charge them like $400, $500 just to replace a big part like a monitor or something like that out of it, then yeah, I mean that's okay for the money. But the other side of it too is I deal with people on the lower income spectrum too. I deal with people who don't necessarily have that type of money on them. Not just that, but you know. You deal with people who, you know, as I said, they budget constraints, or the other side of it too is, you know, there's people on low incomes. I get that, you know, that's something. Now, the other side of it too is, if I feel there's, you know, something's worth repairing, like it's only going to cost $100 and something, you know, including parts, then yeah, that's not a problem, you know. But if it's say going to cost $200-300 or something like that, or even $400, then I'm like, no. That's just, to me, that's not economically repairable, because it's just pointless. Like, it's pointless, especially if it's like you have to replace an entire major component. That's the problem. Well, that's the thing I've found in the past that seems to be an issue. In most cases, what I do is the system I have is, I'll quote, well, not quote, but I'll look at the item, get back to you with a quotation of some type, or probably pricing and everything else, and then I'll ring the person. If they tell me not to go ahead with the work, I won't go ahead with the work. But I always give them a price beforehand, and see, this is my point, especially with my repairs. I pride myself on honesty. I can say whether something's economically repairable or not. If somebody wants to get it repaired, that's fine. I don't mind doing that. And you know, I've always been with the attitude that, generally speaking, it's better to give the client an option in most cases, especially these days. Well, I don't know, it's just found from personal experience anyway. But I don't know. This is my freaking point. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of different people, I guess, perspective points. See, I've had situations in the past where I've repaired something, and when I have repaired it, I mean, okay,
The only time, especially laptops are probably the hardest to repair sometimes. Firstly, because in most cases you have to replace the entire component, like an entire motherboard or an entire casing or whatever, and you normally have to source spare parts, and it can be an absolute pain in the ass to find the spare parts because some of the spare parts are numbering and the system's totally disorganized sometimes with how they put those into certain categories, and it can be kind of frustrating finding the right part. That's honestly something that I found, particularly with laptops, and I sort of work on tablets and things like that, but I don't. It's not my expertise. I would say it's not my expertise. Definitely not. I've worked on phones. I've worked on things. I mean, if it's my own stuff, sure, I don't have a problem with that. But yeah. But yeah. If I can see, that's the thing. It's all, to me, there's something that's repairable, and it's not going to cost you a massive heap of money to repair, and it still needs to be money anyway. But then there's other stuff that I've seen which it's going to cost like $300, $400, $500 just to repair it, and that's the fact that you've got to replace a major component in it, especially a laptop or something like that. It's just freaking, half the time it's just easier to buy a new laptop because you can get laptops for $300, $400, and I mean they're not the best laptops, but particularly if the laptop was used for work purposes or something like that at some point. See, that's another thing too. People don't realise that either. Also something like it. Yeah. See, that's my point anyway, but yeah, all good. Alright. I'll try my best, I really do. Okay, so what do we got? So I actually had somebody inquire yesterday. They asked me what would the cost be for me to install some new RAM and an SSD in their system, and I said, well, look, I'm probably looking at about $110, $120 to install. And they asked me for recommended brands. When it comes to branding, I've had a good experience with Kingston. I use Kingston HyperX memory myself, and I've had a good experience with it always. I also recommended Kingston branded SSD as well, because I'll be honest, generally they are a very good brand. I've never had any major. Well, the one I've got at the moment in my computer is a Crucial, but you can get Kingston ones, especially the 256. Well, I said get at least a 256 gigabyte drive, at least that. Because I wouldn't use any more. Look, me personally, I've got a 525 gigabyte SSD for my main OS and everything else, and I wouldn't have it any other way because I need that extra space to be able to, in case a couple of files do end up getting put on my SSD. Not that there's anything wrong with buying a smaller SSD, but it depends on what you're using the computer for in the first place. Particularly if you're doing rendering work and like YouTube work and everything else and things like that, and even, you know, gaming and game streaming as well. You want to be able to say you at least have a bit of space, so if there's a spillover from extra files and everything else. I mean, to be honest, I've got a ton of drives on my computer, but sometimes it's good to have that extra space with an SSD. I would recommend a bare minimum of at least 256 gigabytes for an SSD. I wouldn't go any smaller than that, personally. I have had a couple of, like my dad's computer outside, his is a 120 gigabytes. But the one he's got and the one I've got, it's the same thing in one of the other workbench computers. That's because they're workbench computers. They're more work computer orientated than anything else. Like I didn't mind buying a 120 gig for those because, to be honest, the pricing wasn't too bad on. Well, the pricing wasn't too bad on the 120 gigs, but the minimum myself and my own requirements, I would never go anything lower than 256 gigabyte in size for a main OS drive, especially if it's an SSD. And you know what? SSDs are coming down in price dramatically. Like, the prices have really dropped off on them, so they're the best upgrade that you can add to your system, not just, well, in the sense of, say, reliability factor, speed increase of when you're loading different windows and doing a bunch of other stuff. And look, to be honest, it's perfect. Like, I can't fault an SSD. SSDs are the ideal situation you want to have in your computer if you can, and it's a cheap upgrade too. That's the other thing too that most people don't realise. But if you want to buy SSDs these days, they're getting much cheaper in price and they're coming down dramatically. And I'm finding, like, even some of the other ones, I think it was about 150 bucks for 256 gigabyte. I'm pretty sure it was on one of the sites that I regularly visit. Because there's a couple of regular sites I visit for parts and everything else, and sometimes I'll buy parts off eBay, I admit that. I always check the feedback beforehand, though. Especially if you're buying off eBay, always check the person's feedback. That's just the best thing you can do for yourself, because by knowing the feedback...
Oh my god!
Firstly, you see the reliability of the transaction, so that's one side of it. The other side of it too is by checking those compliments, or checking the feedback basically, it's better in the long run because you know you're going to get the item in question. You know you're going to get the actual item that you ordered. You know that you're going to get a decent item, depending on the quality, of course. I have had a bit of a situation. I've had a couple of bodgy things off eBay, only once or twice, but the truth is, most of the time, if you check the feedback of the seller, and they have good feedback for selling stuff, then you can't go wrong. Like, that's my honest opinion. And see, some people seem to get a stigma because they have one bad experience with eBay, they walk away from it, and they don't come at it again. That's the problem. Well, that's the issue I've found so far in my life, anyway. Especially these days, it's freaking amazing, and it sort of makes me scratch my head, in all honesty, but... the amount of times that I've seen people, just because they had one bad experience on eBay or some e-commerce site or something like that, or a particular website, that it instantly turns them off doing any business with them in the future or anything of that nature. And I'm like, well, okay, you have one bad experience. Shit happens, unfortunately. That's just life. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'd say that my experience... me having a bad experience doesn't always jade me towards the situation. Sometimes it might, depending on what it is. Say for example, I get a situation where something negative happens twice in a row, then I'm pretty much going to say it's probably the website or the specific thing that I'm doing which is causing that negative impact. Anyway, I don't know. Look, put it this way: I've concluded though in the long run that 256 is definitely the minimum you should have. Yep. Don't go any lower, especially these days. That's just my personal opinion, but yeah. I mean, my machine runs pretty well anyway, so yeah. I do need to get some new video cards though. I'm going to be getting probably two 1070s. I've got two 770s at the moment. I'm going to be investing in future upgrade of my video cards. And we'll see what happens. I don't know. Probably won't be down the line for a few months, or a month or so, maybe, depending. Depends on if business picks up. Business has been a little quiet in that sense lately, just repairs and stuff. But streaming stuff has been okay. It's the streaming stuff keeps me from getting bored anyway. Gives me something to do as well. So. I'm going nuts, but I already knew this part. Oh, I don't know, my head's still a bit scattered from last night. I mean, I got a good night's sleep, that's not the issue, but I'm just sort of... Probably a little bit of a hangover, probably a little bit of a combinance of that, and I'm like, I was watching, yeah, but it was interesting to watch Drunk History while drunk. Oops. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, all good. Crazy world I live in. Oh, it's a crazy world anyway. I generally think it's a crazy world. Why is this a crazy world? I don't know. I'm trying to find my freaking brain. I'll come back to reality eventually. But no, I was quite impressed. Really, really impressed with Uber. Not just that, but wow. I was really impressed. I mean, aside from the fact that the other night I decided to go down to the local pub and club at 2:20 in the morning, and I got an Uber down there because I mean, even if I did have my license, I'm not. People, you don't drink and drive. That's just fucking stupid. So, put it this way, even when I do get my license, I'll still probably use the Uber service anyway. you know, just because it's easier for fucking doing stuff. I don't know, in general, but anyway, I need to go to the toilet. I'll be right back. Seems. Oh, right. Yeah, so this chair is a temporary stopgap one at the moment. I have ordered a new. Sorry, I got it. They're sending me a new seat area for my other chair, so I can fix it up. So I did get the warranty on it. Technically, I would have liked a brand new chair, but you know what? I'm not going to gripe over the fact that they're sending me a new bottom part of the seat, which was basically the frame was bent out of shape, pretty much. This is a temporary chair that I'm using, which normally resides in my dad's room, or my dad's computer room anyway. Excuse me. So yeah. It's not bad though, it's not bad. Let's see. Where's that anyway? So that works, that's great, cool. So anyway, aside from that, I'm looking forward to getting this new monitor as well. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's 2560 by 1080p, which is not an unusual resolution, but it's basically abnormal to most. Well, typically it's 1440p is the actual most common monitor that you'll find these days, especially out there. I find, yeah. 1080p, I mean, 1080p is just more common than not just the 1900 one is the most common one out there. Definitely. Yeah. Well, in any case, I'm looking forward to getting that new monitor. I'm looking forward to having a good week as well. I'm trying to relax and trying to get myself back into gear after the troll situation that happened to me, which, you know, as I said, the police were lied to at the time, and I didn't realise this, but you know what? Shit happens, unfortunately, but I explained to the police it was a troll, and I mean, they accepted that anyway. So, yeah, apparently, but somebody lied to the police, pretty much, and that's the reason that I was carted off in a paddy wagon. Ironically, though, I see the positive side of this in that I can say that I've been in the back of a police paddy wagon without actually getting charged with a crime. Like, I know that's I know that sounds like kind of freaking weird, but it's actually true. Like, that night it was hilarious because, as I said, I'd had a couple of drinks, and as I said, it was a troll that obviously went too far. I realised that, you know, and clearly that, you know, trolls. Sometimes a troll can be taken too far. I'm well aware of that. You know what? And I try to be an advocate for not taking things too far if you can help it. But at the time, I was like, what the fuck, you know, like, because seriously, I mean, at the time, okay, I wasn't. Well, I don't know. The mental health have talked to me anyway, and they could see that I was a person in a reasonable frame of mind. They could tell that I was in a good frame of mind. They could tell that I was, you know, also a reasonable person as well. So, you know, that's the thing. They could tell I was fine, you know? That's the other side of it as well. But I guess at the time, you know, I can understand people being concerned for somebody, but the other side of it too is they lied to the police about the reasoning behind things. So, you know what? It happens. Unfortunately, sometimes you're going to get situation which, I mean, it was pretty much the equivalent of me being swatted. So, yeah. But yeah, I actually got swatted. It's an interesting experience. Interesting experience, but also I would not one I would care to repeat. To be honest, I would not care to repeat it. But it was an interesting experience at the time. I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't really that funny at the time. I mean, I can probably laugh more about it now than I did previously. So that's the other thing too. Well, that's always something. You've got to have a sense of humour in life. You've got to be able to laugh at yourself, laugh at other people. Laughing is the key to life, and how, you know, especially these days, if you don't laugh, there's not, it doesn't work. That's my point. Let me just share this out. And streaming. There we go. Alright, sorry, I'm just sharing my stream out, that's all. But yeah, no, look, I mean, look, freaking, it's just amazing, like, you know, some of the stuff, especially these days. I don't know, crazy world, crazy people, crazy existence. That, I think that's part of my problem. At least I think it's crazy existence anyway. What's life without a bit of craziness? You know, occasionally you've got to be crazy. Occasionally you've got to act out of the normal spectrum. Not just that, but you've got to be able to push yourself enough that... I mean, look, the greatest people in the world, geniuses or otherwise, you know, there were always people who push the envelope of whether it be a controversial subject or whether it be other things. There's always... Every person you know who ever made themselves, like, not just famous, but aside from being famous, any decent inventor is, you know, or any decent inventor or fucking generally smart asses of the world, as I like to call them, I would say the vast majority of them made their own way in things. Not just made their own way, but they forged new ways to do things. And they created rules to suit their situation, you know. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's not inherently a bad thing, because you know what? You may end up making the world a better place because of those inventions, or because of you pushing yourself to that limit, you know. And the truth is, I think that's perfectly acceptable in my mind. I mean, you know, I don't necessarily condone breaking the law to, you know, get things done, but at the end of it, you have to be able to push yourself. You have to be able to bend the rules occasionally just to suit the situation. And you know what? I think, you know, if I've learned anything about this world in the different levels of experience I've had with different people, is that the truth is there's some people who just don't give a shit, you know. They'll be assholes regardless, and they're always going to be that way. And then there's other people who say the opposite. They're always going to be nice, and they're always going to be, you know, I don't know. For me, I'd say from a personal perspective point, I believe in defending yourself. Never feel like you can't defend your own point of view. Never feel you can't give an opinion because you're either being bullied or put out because of it. And there's, you know what? I think we're all entitled to that. We all are. We really are all entitled to that. So, you know, at the end of it, I've concluded that the best thing you can do for yourself is just get out there and push yourself, you know. That's like I said, it's just I'm only sort of starting to realise that I have to get out of my comfort zone to be able to achieve things in life. And I've mostly stayed in my comfort zone throughout my entire life in most cases. And I'm just now pushing myself past my comfort zone. Even if I'm a bit nervous, even if I have a bit of anxiety, you know, you got to deal with that. It's part of being, it's part of real life. It's just, that's how it works. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid having a little bit of anxiety. You can't avoid having, not just a bit of anxiety, but I mean, even if you take meds to, you know, bring your anxiety down, sometimes that can be the worst thing, I guess, to some degree, because it makes you feel numb sometimes, you know, in certain situations when you don't want to feel numb, you know, you want to actually have some type of emotional response. But, you know, that's the thing, it's amazing, really. It's amazing and kind of screwed up, but, yeah, that's life. In general. So, alright, so, I'm gonna get, maybe a glass. Right back. So I'm just going to grab, just washing that out to be honest. Alright. Right. Happy friend-iversary. Alright, so, I mean, it's not a bad day. It's pretty good outside. The weather looks reasonably okay. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but still, it's not an overly bad day, to be honest. Some of the shit that I see on my Facebook, man, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, okay, as it's like, there's certain points you get to, even it's memes and stuff, it's just like, oh, that's enough internet for me today. you pretty much, it was like, what the fuck? It's like, okay, that's enough internet for me today. I'm fine, it's all good. Oh, fuck. Wow. It helps to be crazy. If you're gonna be crazy, at least go all out on the effort. You know what I mean? Maybe my personal feeling on the situation. I don't know. All good. So what are we? Okay. So what else have I got to do this morning? I've done a bunch of ads and everything else. I know that I've got to sell this monitor, which my sister's going to be. I'm going to be selling it to her anyway. In the meantime, I'm thinking about putting some stuff up on eBay, but I don't know whether I'll do that today or tomorrow. It depends on how I'm feeling. We'll see what happens. We'll see which direction. Check my eBay, and what we got on eBay? Oh yeah, that's right. I'm still waiting for that to arrive. So I'm thinking that monitor should arrive on Tuesday. I mean, what's today? Today's freaking Sunday. At least I think it is. Let's double check. Today's freaking Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday. I'd probably say Tuesday. I couldn't see it coming any sooner, to be honest. So yeah. It's just one of those. I don't know. See, the hangover's sort of starting to hit me now. I didn't feel it initially when I woke up. I could probably go for another bit of a snooze, to be honest, but, you know, I'll see how I feel anyway. I figured I'd do live streaming for the time being, until I'm feeling maybe a bit tired or whatever. Okay, so, just see what's active on the items at the moment. It's, So most of my items are active at the moment, so I've got about 16 items on there. And I had an offer from somebody that it's kind of... I kind of got insulted because there was it was like, they offered me $50 for these bunch of great... Now, look, to be honest, the graphics card look in pretty good condition. I haven't tested every single one of them. You know, I tested maybe one or two. But the graphics cards themselves were wrapped up in anti-static plastic and everything else and all this other stuff, and somebody offered me $50 and I'm like, well, that's kind of insulting. Like, you know, just $50 with post. Well, you know, there's obviously postage on top, but I mean, it's probably going to cost a ton to post it too. That's the other thing as well. So, you know, I've got to be able to make enough to cover postage and still make a profit at the same time. You know, like it's as long as I can sell it for cheap as cheap. So I've got 180 on it at the moment, and like somebody offered me $50. I'm like, what? I don't know. I was kind of insulted by that one. Not completely, I was just a little bit insulted. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I love dealing in secondhand stuff, but sometimes you get people who expect something for free. They either expect it for free or they expect it as a handout straight away. I'm like, well, okay, hold on a second. You know, I've got to be able to make money here. I mean, it's, you know, it's just stupid if I don't make some type of profit, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Put it this way, I need to pay bills. There's always bills to pay. There's always bills. It's one consistent thing in life. Always a bill. There's always a bill involved in every situation in life these days. Whether it's the check that you got to pay for dinner, or whether it's the fact that, you know, you've got an internet-based subscription bill, you know. This is my point. There's always a bill. Fucking hell, I tell ya. Like, that's just the whole consistency thing. That is the problem, though, that, I don't know, just fucking stupid sometimes. Like, well, you know, freaking annoying. That's a spin on that joke, dude. Sorry, somebody just changed the joke around where there was always a classic one. See, this is alright. You know, especially on the internet, the lines between reality can be a little bit blurred sometimes, especially if somebody provides a video footage for something. Like, look, you can do a lot with Photoshop and all this other stuff and these things, stuff like that these days. And the truth is, you can do a shit ton of stuff with it. That's the thing. Most people don't realise this, but you can do a shit ton of stuff. And you know, that's the freaking thing about it. You can do a fuck ton of stuff. That's the thing I've noticed anyway. But I don't know. Crazy, isn't it? It's just freaking crazy. Anyway, sorry. This is me talking about random subjects. Anyway, I thought I'd come on to stream for a little bit, and I mean, it's just entirely me fucking sitting here talking. So, but this is a talk show, so I mean. Yeah, it's a talk show, so, you know, what do you expect? If you came here to hear me not talk, well, then I'm sorry. Sadly, you'll be disappointed. Oh, shit. Alright, you know what? I'm still still clearing my head a little bit more. I'm going to come back a little bit later, and I will talk to you guys then. Stay tuned. I've got more stuff coming up. At this point, I think it's going to be definitely my new monitor. I'm gonna be showcasing that at some point, which it's not new, but it's secondhand. But still, I'm going to be showcasing it at some point anyway. All right, okay. Thank you. Stay tuned. Obviously, at a later date. But yeah. All right. Okay. Catch up.